So, if a strong dollar isn't necessarily an advantage for American companies, that it does put them at a competitive disadvantage, what is the global impact? First, we recognize every currency's value has some impact, but none is as dramatic and far reaching as that of the American dollar. It truly is the de facto global currency. Not only is it a financial instrument all over the world, many commodities like steel, copper, aluminum, oil, etc., are priced in dollars. So, what does that mean? Well, in an ideal world, if the American dollar was at a stable, predictable value, that would be a benefit to everyone. But obviously, that's a fairy tale world we don't live in. And when we are in cycles, as we are now, where we're seeing a dramatic shift, it creates distortions and disruptions around the world. So, we're going to look at just a few so we at least get an understanding of both the magnitude and significance of what we are going through. But a couple of just real simple understandings. One is foreign countries. Now, their products may seem to have a price advantage when the dollar is stronger. In other words, they'd have an advantage trying to sell products in America. However, many of the raw materials they need to purchase to produce that product are priced in dollars. So what do we see? At a simplified version, what we see is a profit squeeze on their side. That while they may have an advantage in actually selling the product, can they actually turn a profit? Can they stay in business in the cycle, even though they have a huge advantage? And more importantly, what we see is it puts tremendous pressure on emerging economies. Because the dollar is stable from the sense of being reliable and it's increasing in value with higher rates, what it will do is it will tend to, again, create that vacuum, sucking investment from the rest of the world into the States, making it very difficult for emerging markets to access the capital they need to truly and properly develop their economies to create opportunity for their people. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but it creates a huge challenge and massive headwinds. But it also creates a competitive competition interest rate cycle. What happens is, to stay competitive, you find many countries will continue to raise their rates basically to, again, continue to attract investment into their countries. Many times doing so, even though it would exceed what's necessary to battle inflation in their country, and often continuing or contributing to a slowdown in their economy. So it is a little bit of a dangerous game, but it's actually woe to those who don't play the game, the ones who don't raise their rates, the ones who try to keep them low to attract business to them. They do so in this type of cycle to potentially their own woe. What we see is also it does tend to exacerbate protectionism. We see more tariffs in place as countries try to navigate these challenging times to try and stay competitive. All of these things continue to create headwinds to a global recovery. And more importantly, what we see is that while the American consumer may have the perception that because of a strong dollar, they're going to be able to get products at a better value, one real question is, will you even be able to access and acquire those products? Will they actually be available? Now, this has just been a very light overview of just a handful of the impacts, basically so we understand that this is going to be a global challenge. It will create headwinds to a global recovery and, more importantly, will continue to contribute to global volatility.